Hey guys, welcome back, and thanks for joining us here at Totally Booked Readers. My name is Alyssa.
I'm Kiara.
And I'm Hope. We're three best friends with a passion for reading who enjoy getting together to talk about all kinds of books.
We're just here for the vibes, the good, the bad, and the spicy.
So stick around for the rest of this episode and join us as we continue our breakdown of the second half of Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros.
Once again, I want to give a major spoiler warning for the entire Empyrean series thus far. This includes Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and obviously Onyx Storm. If you have not read all three of these books, you do not yet have access to this content. Please go read all three of these books and then make your way back to our podcast to join us in on all the fun.
So, we are returning at the top of chapter 30. We left off with the squad landing in Umbriel, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
They set camp. They make themselves bait because they know they're going to come for them. And it's exactly what they did. They basically sent a whole ass squadron of warriors to come and snatch them up to take them to their queen.
As we're getting there, the squad splits, right? We leave some people at camp and we let some people go with them. And Violet really laid that out on why everyone was going. We have someone to talk. Dane, he's supposed to be able to kind of communicate with them a little bit.
In Umbrish.
Exactly. He's he's iffy.
he maybe not fluent. He's conversational.
He tries his best. And then Xaden, obviously, Violet, Auric, all these different things. But Mira does have this weird little moment where we're feeling off vibes from her. And I think in this moment, she was also kind of like a little thrown off that she wasn't included. Mm-hmm. But I understood why we split off in the way we did.
Mm-hmm.
But we get in there and we see some silver-haired individuals.
And lots of silver-haired individuals, I feel like. The whole audience was silver hair, weren't they?
And it throws us off.
In fact, the children of the audience have silver-tipped hair. Which sounds familiar.
Yep. We'll keep that in mind for later.
And curiouser where the lore is coming from. Maybe these people have something to do with Violet's lineage.
Am I sensing a bingo?
Maybe.
But so it seeing all these people triggers the want for truth and knowledge in Violet. She starts spiraling. Like, do these people know the answers about me? Like, do they know something about me that I don't? She just, I mean, that's very Violet. She wants to know the truth about everything, wants to learn and get that information. And I get it, especially about herself.
Mm-hmm.
Xaden notices too. He points it out.
Mm-hmm. But so they, in this arena that they get taken to, it is an arena, right? It's basically like stands and people are watching.
Yeah.
Basically, it leads to this is the what's the Isle? Umbrel is the god of what?
I'm not quite sure, but I know that they have to prove themselves by physical violence, basically. They have to like defeat their greatest warriors.
By defeating their greatest warriors, they get an audience with their leaders or their court, right?
Mm-hmm. Where they're able to then, what we want to do is to ask for an army to learn about Andarna and Venonness. Like, that's essentially our goal. And so we have to prove ourselves in order to even get a chance to do that.
And we go into this knowing that there's going to be a fight. And we go into this with our chosen fighter that we're going to present as Xaden, obviously. Like, we want him to go in strong. But we're going to have to present some more people, too.
Yep, they're not about that. They want more than just that. So we ended up with our fighters being Xaden, Dane, and Violet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because they underestimate her. They think she's weak.
But I would like to point out something
here.
While they're discussing and Dane is being used for translation, Auric all of a sudden breaks out in fluent Umbrish. and starts talking to them.
Yeah.
And not only starts talking to them, but tells them who he is and that he's the one that will be fighting.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Freaking Auric.
And then we get a little bit of a breakdown between Violet, Xaden, and Auric, where we're basically like, bro, that was not the plan. And Xaden's like, no. Prince or not, you're a fucking first year. And we both know I can put you into the ground. Okay. And basically, Xaden convinces him, you're not fighting. So then
Correct.
Auric is like, okay, fine. And they put Xaden up to fight. And then all of a sudden, they're like, oh no, we're going to have 2 fighting. So then Dane is the next natural choice as a third year. And by the way, I would just like to say, everybody's like, Dane? No. I'll say it again for the 80th time. Have some faith in my man, please.
I do at this point. By this point, I do, okay?
Yeah, but even in the book, like the
Yeah.
other characters were being like, Dane, like what's going on?
That's
Right.
true.
But not only, they just like decided that Dane would be the one to fight. This lady, I imagine her like an old lady walking around with just like a dagger, like cutting people. She just walks up to Dane and like slices him across the arm, and he's just like,
You're up.
what? And everyone's like, no.
In my notes, my description of her was a judgy priestess that thinks Dane is the only one capable of standing next to Xaden.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounds about right. Well, they get to pick a weapon, but they all have to use the same one. So the boys pick daggers because they know that Violet's most comfortable with daggers and really damn good with them.
She is.
So sorry. I would like to point out something else.
Okay.
Point it out.
I would like to point out that the moment before the old lady comes up and cuts Violet with the dagger, making her also fight, she says some pretty strange things to her. And like, tell me, did you choose this path yourself? And then is it good we did not complete your dedication?
Oh, that's right.
But you do not yearn for temple?
Mhm.
Usually the touch creates such longing that you can't help but return.
That's crazy looking back.
Anyway,
When
probably
reading
hurt.
this, I was confused as crap. I had no idea what this meant. Obviously, we've finished the book at this point, so I have full understanding now, and it makes sense going back and looking at it. But when reading it, I was like, what do you mean touched? Longing? What I was so confused.
I was so confused. It was honestly, I felt like it was gibberish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now that we finished the book, it's clear that what is happening, and we'll talk about it later.
Yep.
But anyway, so they fight. The boys decide to use daggers, as Kiara says, because that's Violet's strong suit. And
Boys aren't doing so hot.
no, hilariously, everyone's worried about Violet and how she'll hold up in the fight, and she fucking wins Xaden's fight for him, practically.
She saves his ass for once.
Yep. Dane's knocked out,
He's
unfortunately.
unconscious.
My man did not shine in this moment, but you know.
Oh,
okay.
oh my goodness. Okay, this is when also in the fight, doesn't lightning strike?
Yes, the random lightning that I feel like. Can you
Yeah.
guys give me some insight into that, or are we all still confused? Like, what happened?
I don't understand either.
Okay.
I'm wondering if it'll be explained more with the whole dedication touch thing, because I
Maybe.
feel like we just barely touched on that.
Could
She
that
may
have
have
been
some-
like a god thing?
She may have some connection to this isle.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she's the only one at this point that still has her bond with her dragons.
Yeah.
Like I feel like she still has some connection to magic.
Some protection here.
Huh.
Wait, discussing this just made me think of something. Later in the book, it is made clear, and it is said multiple times, that Andarna Irids are magic.
Pure magic.
Yeah.
They are magic. So what if she is still able to access her magic because she
Through
is,
Andarna.
yeah, she's channeling almost
brings it.
Andarna.
Maybe that's okay. So is that how the Irids like exist? I know I'm jumping a little bit ahead. Is that how
No, it's
the
okay.
Irids like? No, because there's magic on those other isles. Because the rest of them felt. Never mind. Forget what I'm saying. I like that though.
Right? Doesn't
because
that
Andarna
seem-
is pure magic, so that's how she still had her connection, maybe.
And Andarna is connected to Taryn through Violet. That's why Taryn and Violet and Taryn and Andarna can still communicate, but like Taryn and Sigale can't.
because she
Because
doesn't have that
Andarna's
connection
not
to
connected
Andarna.
to Sigale.
Yeah,
Interesting.
That would make sense a little bit.
Okay, but yeah, that lightning strike, it left us a little dumbfounded, and even going back, it's like we don't know for sure what happened there.
Right.
But either way, it led to our team's win, which means we get to ask for the things that we want. And we find out that the woman that Violet was fighting is their leader.
Their queen.
Their queen, which is
And
badass.
their queen was also a little dumbfounded about the lightning, wasn't
Yeah.
she? She was like, "Was that you?
Yeah.
How did you do that?" Us too. We want to know.
But they essentially said that sure, they would like give them an army if but with some
Sorry, I'm just realizing so many things as I'm going back through this. When they're talking to the queen about this about allies and them getting involved in the war and stuff like that. Basically the queen says no, unless you give us what we want, which is dragons. She also mentions the same thing everyone in the Isles craves. Dragons. Which,
as we learned from Papa Sorrengail's letter,
which connects back to earlier,
trading in dragons and feather tails.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Umbriel was probably the unnamed Isle.
Yes.
But also, she says something weird. She says, perhaps it is truly Zinel who blesses you, the god of luck. Good luck when you search that particular isle. They have a mean streak. That's a little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah, that's tough.
But wait.
And also,
your theory?
My theory is, and I've seen it all over TikTok, so it's not like my original theory,
about maybe that's the god that's blessed her,
is that perhaps that Violet has been touched by multiple gods, not just Dune.
So if you think back, I don't know if it's think back or think forward for where we currently are, but wasn't Violet missing for like months? Not missing, but like didn't her dad take her away as a kid like for months?
I think we get into that when the siblings fight.
Okay. I was just going to say why would she be gone for months if they just took her to one isle to get touched by one god?
So I think we'll look at that in a bit to verify, but I think you're correct.
Okay.
But anyway, so we find out that this particular isle wants dragons. Not just dragons, they want dragon eggs.
Dragon eggs.
Yeah, because they think that they can raise them to work for them, essentially.
I think they can train.
If they have the babies. Little do they know that's not how it works.
And they want 12 eggs, 2 of each breed.
That's important.
Anyway, okay.
That's important for the
Basically, Violet says, hell no.
F that. We're done. Nope, we're done.
If you want a dragon, you can go to the Riders Quadrant and walk the parapet, bitch.
Just like the rest of us.
And she says something, she says, okay, well, we'll see if you come back when you're feeling a little more desperate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yep.
But we're out of there because we're not going to work with that.
We're not desperate yet.
Nope.
Basically, on to the next. Keep moving. Head down, move on.
Even Mira's a little suspicious. They saw the lightning. They're like, was that you? Once they get back and...
Yeah, and then the gang is heading off to Hedotus. Is that how we say it? Hedotus?
Hedotus.
But I could be wrong.
If we're mispronouncing it, my bad.
I don't know if anyone caught this. Anyone else? I have a note on page 287. They're still there. They haven't gone to Hedotus yet. They're still at Umbriel. But there's a quote that says, they're talking about Violet. You have very unusual eyes, not entirely blue or green or gold, but an amalgamation of all. Fascinating. I thought that was really parallel to like Andarna being an Irid of changing colors and stuff. And I don't know why that caught my attention about her eye color.
Yeah.
But okay.
Interesting.
So we
Off
did
to-
say something in Iron when we were going over Iron Flame in one of our previous episodes of like when we're reading Onyx Storm, we are paying attention to all the eyes.
Yes.
So I'm glad you picked up on that, Hope.
Mhm.
This chapter 33, when after they decide not to trade in dragons, we get a little bit of interaction between the characters. We find that Kat and Traeger have a little bit of something going on.
Yeah, it was like hinted out earlier because Traeger was like, you know, if you would get over this, there's other people
Right.
interested.
And I think Kat's finally moving on. Anyway, wanted to point that out. So now we're on this new island, and these people come up.
And then the new island is very drained of color, very pale. Just
Yes.
everything is
Mhm.
monotone
Bland.
and bland. And yeah, the people. Who are the people, Kiara?
But someone stands out.
Or Alyssa?
Yeah, someone looks vaguely familiar.
And her
It's
name
kind of like one of our individuals in our group.
is Talia.
Yeah. And she just so happens to be Zayden's mother.
Bingo.
In the flesh. We all
I-
kind of thought that this would be the book that we got a little glimpse, at least more information about her, but I think all of us were hoping that we met her.
Yeah.
And we did. And yes, it was good for the plot, but damn, was it disappointing.
It was so disappointing.
It honestly
She-
broke my heart. I was expecting so much more.
Not
Yeah.
only, it's just so heartbreaking for Zayden. I
Mhm.
mean, not only has his mom ran off and left him behind and started a new life, but remarried and had siblings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone, like Sigale, Garrick, Taryn, everyone's like, wow, this fucking sucks for that guy.
Yeah.
Like, even though we still have feelings about his venonness, they're like, oh, poor
Mhm.
thing.
Yep. She, yeah, he's spiraling a little bit, which I don't blame him. I would be spiraling too. He has 2 little brothers that he knows nothing about. His mom left him. She started a new life.
I love Violet's supportiveness through all of this. Like, whatever you like, she basically says, whatever you want to do, we will do. You want to have dinner, we'll go to dinner. You want to
Leave right now?
we gonna leave.
Right.
That's what I like. Totally left it up to him, but also said it broke my heart when she said, if I got to have 10 more minutes with my mom, I would want to take them.
Yeah.
You know, just to hear out, obviously, after hearing her out didn't go so well. But like, it broke my heart when Violet said that. I was like,
Exactly.
ouchie.
But they're going to dinner
Mhm.
with them. And we find out we confirm the fact that Talia was getting updates throughout the years and she still stayed away.
That was shocking. Like, I could be a little more understanding if she had zero idea about his dad getting executed and all that. Like, that, I would be a little more understanding, but she knew. She knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Quote from Zayden, you already hold my soul, and now you want my pain? Ouch. Violet just trying to take care of him. Really beautiful.
So then Zayden agrees to have dinner with them. And there was a vague mention at the very end of the chapter about Violet giving something to the
Talia.
Talia to put in the tea. Dried arrowroot?
Aaron
She says
yeah.
arrowroot.
Yeah.
She gives to Talia.
It's like one of
As a
Zayden's favorite
gift.
things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a gift, she says.
To like show a little faith between her and Zayden.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was confused. I was like, what is happening? I was like, is she trying to spike Zayden with something?
Yeah.
But
and she also
we
tells
find out later.
Darna to follow
Yes.
her sons,
Yes.
Talia's
Brothers.
sons,
Mhm.
because they were leaving the castle or the place.
Yes. And the whole thing with the Hedion, the god, he is about wisdom. So these people are basically testing the group's wisdom to see if they are worthy to be let into their isle or whatever.
Smart enough, cunning enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're having dinner. It's going not great.
No.
There's questions flying. There's judgment.
They're trying to have Xaden marry
Yes.
Kat,
Yeah.
right?
Gosh.
Oh, yes. Talia's new husband or whatever, he's like, well, the wise thing to do would be for Xaden to marry Kat and build an alliance between Tyrandor and Peromiel.
Basically sign a contract just to further the line and have kids, and then who cares? 3 years down the line, break it off. Like, it's literally just to have the kids is all he's talking about.
Yeah.
And his mom agreed with him.
Like, yeah, just go ahead and sign that contract and there you go.
No.
Yeah.
And Xaden says something
He says,
marvelous.
draw up the papers.
Mhm.
And everyone's like, what do you mean?
A lifetime. Anything less?
Is unacceptable. And her name for the papers is Violet Sorengel. 2 R's.
Don't forget the 2 R's.
Oh my gosh.
Finger
Yep.
snaps.
Continues later down the line and says, Violet is the only choice I've made for myself. I won't sacrifice that for 3 years, not for a single day.
Yeah.
Not for a single minute.
So then we get into, oh yes,
We get to learn, like, Arik, he has so much information. Obviously,
Yes.
he's a prince, so he's probably had to learn about the history of a lot of different things.
Mhm.
But he's pulling out some continent trivia left and right.
Mhm.
Yes.
I loved the fact I wrote it down as like he observes and then speaks. So
Mhm.
he's a little bit more in the background. He does a lot of watching and calculating in his head, which makes him a little cunning. But yes, pulling out straight facts.
Yes. And then they are towards the end of their meal, and Talia brings out a chocolate cake
Which they had been stockpiling chocolate for weeks
for weeks.
to make this chocolate cake.
I wonder why. Because they
Also-
knew they were coming.
Also, how dare the mom offer that is the last thing she gave Xaden before leaving on his birthday.
Well,
He was kind of open to it. Like,
Yeah.
it was a thing that he was like, yeah, like, I'll have cake. Like,
he seemed to take it almost like a offering of forgiveness. Like he was willing and was going to eat it.
I get that he was, but I was pissed about it. I was like, how
No,
dare
for
you?
sure.
yeah, for sure.
But he says, I remember, and it's still my favorite.
Yeah.
But like pretty much immediately after, confirmed, they knew that they were coming in advance. Cortland talked, and they poisoned the cake.
Yeah. Violet figures it out. She tells everyone, don't take a bite. Nobody has taken a bite. Everyone drops their forks. And then everyone looks at Garrick, who's enjoying his piece of cake.
He's already halfway
And he's
through with it.
already eaten half of it. And he said we should start. He blinks, then wobbles. I feel, and he collapses.
Oh my goodness.
And he isn't breathing.
Yeah, but this is all a test.
So they jump on the chest, start CPR.
Chest
Yeah.
compressions.
Chest compressions. Traeger is there. Well, they go get Traeger because he's the healer of the group, I guess.
And then Talia's husband is over here like, you don't get to beat me. Anytime that Violet has like any bit of like, oh, I'm gonna do this, do that. Like, he's seeing her put the plan in place. And every step of the way he's like, no.
I'm sorry, I gotta say it. Talia's a gold digger. What did she see in this man? Because he thinks he is the... How can you be wise and not humble? I feel like you have to be both. Otherwise, you're not wise.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Violet's scouring every like part of anything she's ever learned.
Yes.
And is trying to find like, okay, I need to find some sort of antidote for whatever they gave, but we got to find out what it is first. So she's going to the kitchen, trying to find the chef.
Yeah.
Well, she sends people off. Who does she send to go get her dad's books?
Dane.
Mm-hmm.
Sends Dane to get her dad's books.
Traeger.
Mira to get the guards.
Traeger's doing chest compressions. Xaden's doing breaths for Garrick.
Yeah.
And
And
Riddick
he's
and her.
getting desperate.
Yeah.
He's getting
Yeah.
desperate. He's freaking out. Violet's
Yes.
like, I'm not going to let him die. I hate when she says that, by the way,
Yeah.
because I just feel like she takes responsibility.
Mhm.
And then if it
Yeah.
goes wrong, it's going to be bad.
Violet and Riddick go to the kitchen because they
Mhm.
realized, okay, well, if Talia's husband, this guy ain't gonna tell us, we'll
Mhm.
find out for ourselves. Who else knew about the cake? Oh, duh, the cook. Let's go find him. And they found him.
Yeah. And there's a moment that I panicked. I panicked hard
So did I. I put the book down.
Yeah.
when Riddick gets stabbed with a knife, or we think he does, but thank goodness it's just his flight jacket.
Yeah.
I about lost my ever-loving mind, let me tell you. I was like, I'm done.
When I read this scene, I put in my notes, why was it giving me Olaf from Frozen? I've been impaled.
I put not
That's
Riddick.
funny.
I said not Riddick. Not anyone, but especially not Riddick.
I said, I'm sick of this. Stop trying to kill Riddick. Dear God, stop it. I'm done.
Mhm.
And then immediately, oh God, thank Lord, I can breathe again.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely sick.
I said, why did this bitch pull it out? And then I was like, oh wait, we're fine.
And he's just so nonchalant about it. He's like, shit, like now I gotta sew that or something like that.
I know. And
He
then
was like, I suck at sewing.
and then he punches
Yeah.
the chef.
Well, he looks up at Violet and sees how freaked out she is. And it says, understanding softens his eyes, and he wraps his arm around my shoulder, pulling me into a quick but gentle hug. Yeah, I love you too.
Oh,
Ugh,
that was so wholesome.
yes.
It was so wholesome.
And then, Violet saves the day again. Man, we should have made a drinking game out of
How many times
Violet
she saves the day?
saves the day. And gets Garrick alive again by giving him the antidote or whatever.
Pig and lime.
Talia's husband is still over here like, you didn't win. Loser.
Not only this, but Violet, our girl, had the wisdom and the forethought to poison them
First.
first.
They were
in
already
the
poisoned.
tea.
Yep.
So this guy,
And they're
is-
confused as heck because they're like, we ate and drank everything you did.
Yeah.
How did you? No, only at dinner. They had taken a pre-antidote before
Yeah.
coming into it.
and
So smart.
so this guy's all like, you didn't win. And Violet's like, you're dying. I think that qualifies you as the loser.
Yeah, and he was even like, I'm down to die. Like, you're not gonna win.
I know. He was literally like willing to die and kill his wife, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
which is crazy.
It was only when she let them know about Andarna following the sons, right? That they finally like took pause. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's a moment where Xaden is like losing it,
Mm-hmm.
and Violet has to take the time to get him back off the ice.
Oh, they do describe the ice.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
thinking in that moment of like, okay, and well now Riddick and Dane are watching this. I was wondering if they were picking up on that
Mhm.
and one like seeing something different, but I don't think any of them like said anything about it.
Mm.
But Violet had a plan, a masterful plan, poisoned them, and had Andarna ready to eat or burn the children. That sounds awful, but I think she knew it would go her way.
Yeah.
More of just I don't want to say empty threat, but I feel like it was just more of like a threat that hopefully she wouldn't have had to follow through with.
Yeah. But they get out of there.
Mhm.
They head off to Zanal. And when we get there, we feel magic. Like there's magic here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's shocking.
Also, I was very unsettled just seeing everyone wave.
Yeah.
Like just the waving.
It was
They
creepy.
were waiting for them.
They were waiting
Mhm.
because
Crazy.
word had spread.
Yeah.
Word had definitely spread that they were traveling the Isles.
Yes. But all the dragons and everybody can communicate again to their dragons because of the little magic that is on the isle. And Zinal is the god of luck. So, in order to gain their favor or to talk to their leaders, they have to play a little game of luck where they draw a card and they are given a gift, and they don't get to pick the gift, and they cannot complain about the gift. They simply have to accept the gift.
And be thankful.
Which, when I heard this, I was immediately anxious.
Yeah, who
I'm
wouldn't be?
thinking the worst.
Yeah.
And as they're pulling the cards and they're getting these benign gifts, like a broken
Yeah.
compass, which I think is going to come back later.
For
I
sure.
think that's very important. I think the gifts that they receive are actually very important.
When
Yeah.
reading it, the broken compass, I don't know if anyone else out here listening to this or if y'all can relate to this. When reading it, all I could think of was Captain Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean, his broken compass where it only points to like the thing that he wants most.
Mhm.
That's all I could think of.
And Drake gets a cat.
Broccoli.
Broccoli. And someone gets a rusted bucket. I think maybe Riddick.
No, Riddick gets a kiss on the mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Kiss.
Dang
gets
it,
slapped.
Yes. My poor. They
Poor
did him
thing.
so wrong in this book.
Did Arik get a broken mirror or a mirror? It was
I
just a
believe
mirror.
So
No, it was broken.
I think it was broken.
Was it broken?
Mhm,
Okay.
and all the bad luck that comes along with a broken mirror.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What did Mira get? It's on page
Mira-
326.
Oh, Cat. I would have loved to have gotten Cat's gift. Wasn't it the giant ass ruby
Yeah.
necklace
Oh,
or something?
Mira got wine.
Mm.
A bottle of wine. And Marin receives 2 orange tunics. Dane gets a slap. Riddick gets a kiss. Garrick gets the rusted steel bucket.
Okay.
What did Zayden get?
He got the clear glass box with a bunch of random things in it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Arik receives that mirror and immediately cuts his thumb when the man hands it to him. I don't know why. That seems really important to me.
Mirror. We'll think about that later.
The compass, she gets a compass. It's broken. So as they're getting these benign gifts, I'm starting to relax a little bit. I'm like, oh, these
Yeah,
are funny.
me
It's
too.
funny. Oh my gosh, this is funny. And honestly, I completely forgot about Traeger. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, everything's done.
Last gift.
Blah, blah,
It was our
blah. The
last
cat was
gift.
the last gift. Oh, good. Okay. Traeger draws a card. As soon as it said the arrow, I knew.
Yeah.
I said, oh my God,
Me too.
someone's about to die.
Although
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be like one of the like huge crossbow arrows because it had been describing them all over the aisles. So I was expecting one of those. So a little thankful it wasn't one of those, but still.
Yeah. Trigger's dead.
And he dies. I felt so incredibly sad for Kat.
Yeah.
Like the second she moves on and she actually finds someone she's compatible with, and she's falling for a man not for like
Power,
not for
nobility.
but for actual love.
Yeah.
And he dies right before her eyes.
And we see like Drake muffling her cries
Yeah.
and
Oh
holding her.
And holding her back.
That was heartbreaking.
It broke my heart to watch the griffin as well.
Yeah.
Just fall over and like try to get to Traeger but couldn't
then-
make it, and the other griffins having to hold it up. Oh, my heart.
And then watching every person, like Mira, Zayden, Dane, like everyone's looking at Violet, basically trying to communicate of like
To watch her reaction.
no, but
She
to
just-
tell her without saying anything that we went through this for something. You have to like rein it in.
Yeah.
And Zayden says, like, specifically, you have to say thank you or he dies for no reason. Like you have to just thank them.
Literally
for it.
made me sick to my stomach to have to watch.
No, that was bad. That was horrible.
was-
Rebecca.
disgusting,
Ooh.
honestly. Worst thing. Oh.
So
And then
they
she
get to their gifts.
she definitely blames herself, Violet. She's the one
For
that
sure.
she's the one that put this group together and brought them along, and now Traeger's dead. She's blaming herself for it all going to shit.
Yeah. And they decide that They just need to bury Traeger's body and his griffin's body
But not
on a
there.
different island.
Not there.
Just
Yeah.
find a random island to bury them on, not this one. I agree.
Yeah.
And Violet agrees, even though it's going to add a couple of days to their trip. So they won't make it back in time. And so they're going to be in trouble with leadership. But
Well, they're already in trouble. We skipped over this. They haven't
Oh,
been
yeah.
checking in this entire time.
Yeah, they
With
were
leadership,
supposed to
they're
go
supposed to.
back.
We skipped over it.
yes, they're supposed to go back every time.
After
In
each
between
aisle,
every
they're supposed
aisle.
to check in, and they haven't been doing that.
There's no
That's
time
true,
for
that's
that.
true.
Mm-mm. So we skipped over that. So it doesn't.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
There you go. That was actually a line in here,
Mhm.
and that was my motto growing up. So,
Relate.
so I related to that hard.
I just saw something interesting.
Yeah.
On page 333 at the very end of chapter 39, Xaden, is kind of giving her a pep talk about, Xaden's giving Violet a pep talk because she's feeling down, obviously, hard on
Mhm.
herself.
Mhm.
And he says, You're better than me. You
Mhm.
have to be. You promised to help me protect Tyr and Dor, remember?
Yeah.
Yep.
You promised.
There's no cure for me. That's why you have to become better than me. There's only you.
Oh, I feel like that applies later.
Mhm.
Anyway, so chapter 40, we bury Traeger's body and Silas's body. Well, they burn it. Sorry, they don't bury them.
Yeah.
They burn
Burn
them
it.
on a random island. And while they're on that island, they decide to just go ahead and search the other islands around them.
I
Because there's a bunch of small ones, right?
Mhm.
I loved that they described it as having black sand and even more magic than the other
Mhm.
aisle that had like slight magic.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, black sand, that's fun.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah. They choose groups to split off or like pairs to split off.
Yes.
Yes, so she pairs them according to their signets and their strengths, which a good leader would do, and sends them on their way. And she's left with Riddick and Atrum, who are going to go. They're gonna wait for the fires to burn out, and then they're gonna look at the closest islands. Which we got the cutest scene of Atrum and Riddick
Yes.
playing together in
In the
this.
water.
I thought that was so cute.
Their relationship is so fun. Definitely gives me like Toothless and Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. It started making me
100%.
think about like how we get obviously Violet's relationship with Taryn and Darna, but like imagining all of the writers' independent relationships with their dragons.
This-
Like I can't even begin to comprehend all of that, but I hope we get more of it
This is
in the
jumping
future books.
to the end, but the different POVs we got at the end,
Yeah.
that was one of my favorite parts about those different POVs was getting to see the
them.
insights
Mhm.
between the relationships of the
I
writers
want
and their
that
dragons.
for more of them
Yeah.
in the future. But it's at the end of this chapter where we
See ghost tracks in the sand. We're like, whose are those?
What are those?
What are those?
We meet the Irids. They
They're
found
here.
us. We didn't find them.
No.
Which is crazy. Not only that, but they talk to all humans and are respectful and have manners.
Yeah, they're
Which
like
is weird.
sophisticated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like
For some reason.
sophisticated dragons.
They're not grumpy and angry and want to bite your head off.
And they start talking to Andarna, and Andarna is so excited. And she's so proud of herself, and she's proud of Taryn, and she starts describing her life and everything they've done. And the
Yeah.
Irids basically tell her that she's an abomination.
They spit on that. They're like, what?
They're like, what have you done to your tail? Why do you choose to be black? Why, like Taryn, obviously, because he's
Which
the best.
I didn't realize. Is it just the Irids that have the option of choosing their tail, or is it all like Feathertails becoming like
I thought
adult?
all Feathertails did, but I'm not sure.
I didn't
I'm not
realize
sure
that.
either.
I thought all dragons did, and that I guess the Irids, they
I
just
feel like they
don't pick.
all would have had to because
weapons.
everyone didn't think that there was anything different about Andarna.
Yeah,
You know?
but she chose to be just like Taryn,
Yeah.
which is so cute, and they literally shit on her pretty much.
And Violet, they're shaming Violet.
Shaming Violet, telling her how, like, you are selfish. How could you let her do this?
Turning
Testing the
her
humans.
into a weapon, basically.
Which to me was crazy because you literally left your egg there basically as an experiment, is the vibe I got.
Yeah,
That's what it was.
And
it was.
they just expected her to just not grow up like the other dragons that she was around.
Well, again, it was a test to see if humankind could change.
Evolve. Yeah.
It also made me, like, it makes me emotional to think about how Taryn and Sigale just found her and, like, basically adopted her as their own, which is so sweet. I can't.
Yeah, and they shit all over that.
Yeah, that was awful. I did not like them.
And they said,
one bit.
And you, our very hope, have handed this human something far more dangerous to wield, haven't you?
Yeah.
What is that?
I was like, what the heck? She's obviously talking about Violet's second signet.
Which at this point, we still don't know what that is.
And then things go from bad to worse. Because Xaden and Garrick arrive back from their trip looking for them. And unfortunately, Xaden's eyes are red. And so it's very clear what he is. And the Irids pointed out, this is when Riddick finds out because Riddick's there.
But he didn't channel anything. It was they only popped red. They only turned red when, like, the Irids connected to be able to talk to Xaden, right?
I think so.
Because then when they left, they immediately went back fine.
I would say usually when he channels, it takes like a week for him to get back to normal.
They immediately went back fine.
Yeah, it was like the second they did the weird thing where it's like you hear this loud pitch,
screech,
and that's when you can hear them talking to you.
It like drew it out some way. So maybe they're like venom detectors or something.
Maybe. I think they said something like, the soul is not kept by the earth as dark wielders steal its magic. The power exchange kills the soul one piece at a time, and death has no cure.
Yeah.
So they basically shut down all of our hope.
Yeah. All of it.
Oh, it was just very disappointing. Yeah. We had so much hope.
And Riddick, he's looking at Violet. He's saying, girl, you have a lot of explaining to do.
For sure.
And then we get this next chapter where Violet and Riddick go off, and it's just essentially a big, like, Riddick and Violet heart to heart. He was so good.
Yes.
I understand his point 100%. They were supposed to be open, but also that's a very dangerous secret and not necessarily her secret to keep. But she was not supposed to keep secrets from them anymore. So I get that too.
How did we get here with the secrets again?
But even then, like, he was mad about the secrets, but he was even more mad that no one that is Team Violet basically knew. Like, everyone who knew is close to Xaden.
And I think that's purposeful on her part.
Because
like, she doesn't want anyone on her team or on her side to know it, because she wants to keep him safe. And they want to keep her safe.
And then
so it's just like a crazy parallel, like the secrets with her and Xaden, the friends, like that came up a lot in Iron Flame, and it's still coming up. And he's like, not again, not with me, not with us.
But then Riddick does the wisest thing anyone in this freaking book does and says, okay, fine. Give me a line. At
Where's
what
the line?
point is he too far gone that we can't defend him? And Violet says, if he hurts me.
Broke my heart.
Yeah, he said before she gets to that point, he says, you can still love someone after you let them go, but you have to tell me there's a line where you will let him go. Because if there isn't one, it's not just him we're going to lose, Vi.
It broke my heart because she didn't want to draw a line. Honestly, in her head, I feel like there wasn't a line. He forced the line on her.
Yeah.
So I don't even know honestly if the line that she said is a line.
I don't think
I
so
don't know.
either.
The lines are blurry.
The lines
And
are blurry.
he ends with, "Stop keeping shit to yourself. I don't want to have this fight again. The four of us are stronger together than we are apart. Don't fuck with that, even for Ryerson."
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So he essentially makes a deal with her that she's going to tell the rest of the squad, the Iron Squad, when they get back. Or
And
at least
Jasenia,
yes, and Jasenia.
because she has to know what she's researching in order to actually research a cure.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I think it's hilarious, the whole lightning strike conversation when they get back down.
That was good.
When they get back down to Zayden, and he's like, Riddick says, it was me and Violet, but it wasn't me and Violet in the way you think it was. And Zayden was like, I didn't think it was that because it wasn't a big enough strike. I was like, oh my gosh.
That was funny. He got all flustered, Riddick did.
But
he also said something that I didn't even think about, which was like the second that anyone finds out what Zayden is, like that he's been in, they're gonna try to kill you because you guys are all still connected. And I completely forgot that.
Yeah.
Because we just haven't talked about it this entire book. But that was like all of Iron Flame.
Violet definitely
all of Fourth Wing
becomes an easy target to kill him.
Well, people think she's an easy target.
Well,
I think she's proving that she is not. But
I didn't mean it as an easy target. I meant it as like
even if he's
another
target, they can get to her.
Yeah.
Now there's two ways to get
and
that end goal.
But Zayden is full up front with Riddick, like in Zayden's want of saying, I'm making sure Violet is capable of killing me when the time comes, because if it's between her and me, I'll choose her, kill the other guy I've become. And I think that like earned Riddick's respect in a way. And Riddick was like, okay, so even Zayden knows the line.
Yeah. Oh yes. Sorry. So that happens. They leave defeated because obviously things did not go well.
Very defeated and deflated and just unhappy with.
And we get back to Basgiath, and they have to tell Rhiannon that they lost Traeger, who was a part of their squad.
Yeah.
But we forgot to mention that it was not in vain because they got the army out of it. They're sending troops for backup or whatever.
Yeah. Or they will at notice.
Yes. So in some ways they failed, but in other ways they didn't. But
when they get back, there's an ominous, suspicious letter.
Yeah.
From Stephanie.
Stephanie left a letter again. She just really wants a friend. She says, do enjoy the time you have with your friends until our next rendezvous. Basically saying, I'm gonna be your BFF. Don't worry, I'm making all the arrangements. Honestly,
weirdo.
Cute.
No.
And then we find out that Queen
Mariah?
She's dead.
She's
dead.
And she was the one with the library, right?
Yes.
The Summer House Library. Okay.
Yeah. I think that was supposed to hit a little harder, but I didn't really care about her. So.
I think the main point to that is Kat is one step closer to the throne.
I know. I feel like well, her sister is, but also her, I guess.
Yeah.
But now Takaris is like the king now. So they are next in line. So we return to Basgiath. We learn that the Venin are getting much closer to the border at Tyrrendor. Things are heating up. People are dying. Vi tells the squad that Zayden is turning Venin.
Everyone's caught up now.
Yes. And Vi is having bad dreams still. That becomes important later.
Yeah. It's the sword of Tyrrendor trying to kill her in the nightmare. I think, yeah.
Okay. And then back to business as usual. They're back in class. They're back to learning dangerous flight maneuvers that nobody thinks Violet can do, and then Violet does it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And throughout all of this, Violet's saving the day. She's in school. She's on a mission. She got Zayden a birthday gift. Yeah. She commissioned him this thoughtful gift.
Another Onyx stone bracelet.
Crazy.
Isn't it?
Maybe. I think so. I don't remember how it was described
It's an
anymore.
onyx bracelet with a piece from the turret from his house.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah,
if it's
you're
an
right, you're right,
onyx
you're right.
stone, but it does say onyx bracelet.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, where does she find the time and energy?
And then something horrible happens. One of the squad that hasn't manifested a signet yet,
Oh.
his name is Lynx,
Mhm.
he manifests a signet, and it's shadows. And I was so confused at first. I was like, what the heck is happening? I had no idea. I was like, this can't be happening.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It made no sense to me. I was like, this is one of the strongest signets, and some random dude has it now. Like, I
Yeah.
was so confused.
I was thrown.
And then I realized that
Well, as they were realizing.
you're our generation's shadow wielder. And Zayden says, not anymore. Magic knows he's the balance. And when I tell you, my heart shattered.
Ripped straight from my chest.
I couldn't. And he decides to leave. He has to get out of there. I don't blame him. I would be
Yeah.
losing my mind.
I feel like this piece of the talk about balance really sets off a chain reaction for the rest of the book because balance is a major theme
Mhm.
from what we learn later,
Yes.
especially in our final battle.
Pulling power and yeah.
But that one was a really tough way to kickstart us.
Yeah.
We also find out that the wyvern are breaking through the wards in Erasia that are failing.
Yeah, and they're getting closer and closer to Erasia.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember also thinking about Iron Flame and where we ended off. Like, obviously, the space that I immediately went to was that Xaden was going to start distancing himself
Yeah.
because of his venonness.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised at the beginning of the book that he was like, I'm not like all those other male main characters. I'm not going to distance myself from you. And then after Lynx manifests, that's exactly what we get. He starts distancing. I start feeling hopeless.
Mm-hmm.
Could really use some good news right about now, but
One good thing is that the students are taking turns going to Tyrandor to learn about runes. So it is the squad's turn to go and learn about runes, and literally everyone gets to go. Dane, Sloane, Bree, everybody. They're all going to learn about it. And Sawyer, because he finally gets on his dragon's back again.
yeah.
And rides. Yay.
I
So
love
he's
that he
back.
asked Violet for help for that.
Yeah, that was sweet.
It
A
was
sweet
wholesome.
moment for
It
them.
was wholesome. They make it back to Erasia.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the little moment with Bodhi when she's like, I don't really know where to stay. Like, my room isn't my room anymore. He's like,
Please.
girl, Violet, we're home by, act like it.
Yeah, I like that.
That was wholesome.
It was cute.
And it was also there that it was said like he was Xaden was trying to mend the spot where he first channeled from. And so it gave Violet hope that he's still trying, that he hasn't given up, even though he is distancing himself. He hasn't given up hope
Because
yet.
he's been working with Brennan.
Mhm.
Yes. So they're back in Erasia, and we get a spicy scene. Another chair scene. Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop. Oh my gosh, he says, you are the temple I worship.
Oh, yes. Okay. The shadows during this scene.
Yeah.
I've been waiting these entire books for the shadows to come into play during a spicy scene, and I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was worth the wait, I'll say.
Yeah, definitely. We get like a subtle little thing. We're not supposed to think about it much, but that Arik hasn't manifested his signet yet.
Yes.
As of this moment. We're going to move on from that, but just keeping that in mind.
Okay.
Hopefully he doesn't explode.
Yeah. It's getting close here. Violet's still working on runes. She's still not great.
No.
And then
we're in another nightmare.
We're in another nightmare.
And this one's big.
And she realizes that
her hand isn't her hand.
That she's Xaden in her dream. Weird.
Yeah.
Why?
Odd.
Not possible, right?
One would think.
Mm-hmm.
One
Oh,
would
do we-
think.
Well, this is actually where we just casually come to the conclusion that she's a dream walker and that is also a form of intrinsic.
Mm-hmm.
So, Violet's second signet reveal, I mean, interesting, but not as big as I thought it was going to
But
be.
also,
Yeah.
it could be. It is like hinted that it could be a little dangerous because Zayden was saying like he wasn't wanting to pull his hand away. Like he was
Mhm.
wanting to channel, and like he felt compelled to stop from her. So maybe she can change actions in dreams.
Yeah, like I know that there's going to be more from it, but the way that it was introduced was so
Yeah.
casual.
We don't know
Yeah.
a
And
lot.
we didn't have much time to really think about it.
Yeah, honestly, when it was introduced, I was a little disappointed.
Yeah.
I was like, what is
I know we'll
that?"
get to learn more later, and I
Yeah.
know that was purposeful, and especially because we divert attention immediately.
Yeah.
Now we're under attack.
Under attack.
Yes.
Mhm.
There's a horde of wyvern. They made it through the wards because the wards are weakening and they're very close to Eratia. So everyone prepares for battle.
And it's Zayden's army. He's not just a ranking officer. He is in command here. So definitely a little jarring for Violet when she comes to that realization, I think.
Mhm.
And boy, does he step up. He leads like no other.
Yeah, they try to develop a plan. I know Zayden and Bodhi have a little bit of a tiff because Bodhi wants to, fight, and Zayden is worried about, Tyrandor, of who's going to be in line in case something happens to me.
Mhm.
So he wants Bodhi to stay at home.
And one notable thing is Arik comes running and is desperate to tell Violet that she has to protect Dune's temple.
Mhm.
Very
And
insistent.
Yes, and Violet's like, dude, not right now. Like, the temple is the least of my concerns. And he's saying, no, you have to protect the temple.
Yeah.
So, weird. Why? Why does he care? Big Dune fan, I guess.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I was not a fan how this battle happened in the dark, I must say.
But one
But it was
thing
interesting.
that came
Yeah.
from it is that we learned that our girl Violet has strengthened her signet. For
Absolutely.
anyone who watched the Iron Flame episode, y'all know that we were very, very frustrated with Violet for not practicing and not honing her ability. And I'm very proud to say that she has honed that hoe because she can now hold a lightning strike
Mhm.
for like a long time, and she can also strike and have it like hit multiple targets at once like lightning does.
This
Yeah.
was all without her conduit too, right? Or did she have it?
I can't remember if she had a conduit or not.
I think she has it because Felix brought her a new one.
Yeah,
okay.
it allows her to like focus her energy.
Okay.
Yeah.
We also got another like countdown thing, which I loved. It happened in Iron Flame. We got the like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 or whatever, which just shows how quickly these battles are happening. I really appreciate those.
And unfortunately, they have to land on the ground because Taryn gets injured, and someone shows up. Someone who's desperate for a friend.
Theophany.
She's here. She's back.
She's here. And some weird stuff happens. They happen to land by the Temple of Dune.
Just
Unintentionally.
Unintentionally.
Because Violet's like, I'm not focusing on that.
Right.
Like, that's not on my radar.
And the people at the temple say some weird things, some strange things to Theophany about how she's a heretic, how she's not welcome here. And Violet starts to put two and two together that Theophany was a priestess of Dune, and that's why she has silver hair that matches the attendants of Unbriel. And hers. So all seems not going well. They feel like they're about to get their ass handed to them, not gonna lie. And then thankfully, all of a sudden, the wyverns start hitting the ground. Why? And Theophany flies off. She runs away. And we find out it's because Leothan, one of the Erids, has come and has fired up the wards. God bless. Well, we think it's a good thing. Until he starts yapping about how Andarna should come and be with her kind and learn about them, but she can't be separated from her rider that she bonds with. And then they happen to mention a funny little thing about how, oh, you are pure magic. You can break bonds.
Yeah, they're just merely magical ties. You
Mhm.
can bend them, shape them, and break them.
But only for the Irids. I mean, that's how she was able. Taryn bonded Violet first,
Mm-hmm.
and Darna basically forced the bond. She created the bond because she is pure magic. It's not like one of the other 6 dragon kind bonding a human, which happens naturally, which is why we've never seen a human bond 2 dragons before, because the Irids don't bond to humans.
Mhm.
So I found that piece of lore really interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Violet does the admirable thing and lets Andarna go.
Lets her choose.
Lets her choose, and Andarna chooses to break the bond and go.
Which was devastating.
I was gutted.
And it about killed Violet. The whole scene where she is just on the ground not breathing and Taryn is having to yell into her head, "You will breathe."
Yeah. She says, I exist for Taryn, but I live for Xaden. That too. Like she's got to pull herself together. But writers don't survive the loss of their dragons. And even though Andarna isn't dead, this was the loss of a bond. Like, nobody has lived through and experienced what this girl is going through right now.
Mhm.
Like, they have no idea. It's just absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah. So Violet has a Bella from Twilight moment.
Yeah.
And sleeps a lot and is depressed. And it takes the Sorengale siblings to get her out of bed and up and moving, as well as Xaden.
Well, more Mira. Everyone's just kind of watching. They've been trying for a few days. It's Mira who gets her up and out.
Definitely. But then it causes a sibling fight. It starts with just Mira and Brennan.
True.
And they're fighting about all sorts of, not nonsense, but I'm going to call it nonsense. And then everyone kind of gets involved.
Yeah. I will say one of my favorite lines happens here.
Mm-hmm.
And Mira comes in and says, "She lost a dragon, not a boyfriend. It's not a breakup. No offense," she says to Xaden. And Xaden says, "None taken. We're past the breakup stage."
Yeah, this is, like he mentioned before, this is for life, baby.
Mhm.
This is for life.
So they start arguing, and this is when it gets brought up about why Mira went to see their grandmother. And she finds out that Violet's dad and mom took her to be dedicated to Dune, and that is why her hair is silver tipped.
And it's learned that they did not complete the dedication.
Mm-hmm.
So not fully dedicated. And the priest spoke all cryptically, but basically said that if Violet chose her future poorly, she could still earn their mentorship, but
Mhm.
she'd turn. So what does that mean?
That's a bonkers lore drop right
Do
there.
we know?
And we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's later, just a couple lines down, the heart that beats for you or within you would do the wrong thing for the right reason, reach for unspeakable power, and turn dark. So basically, we think that I wrote that I don't think they're talking about Vi. Definitely think they're talking about Xaden. His heart beats for her. Fully and wholeheartedly beats for her. So he was the one that turned.
Yes. So now Mira finds out that Brennan has known because
Mhm.
Brennan has been trying to heal Zayden
Yes.
Yeah.
this whole time. Mira did not know, and Mira is, again,
Pleased.
the only one in this book that makes any fucking sense. She is heartbroken, obviously, that her sibling didn't tell her, but then also that it's so dangerous. Like, and it is so dangerous. If I thought about it from an older sister point of view, I would be so upset.
Yeah. And in the room when we're fighting, her finding out that she's the last to know,
Mhm.
that does not
Yeah.
help.
And
Doesn't sit
then
well.
Mira's last words in this book is, "You taught her well." She glares over at our brother and sheaths her blade as she walks away. Good luck keeping her alive.
Oh,
Ouch.
So she's upset.
Yes.
and Violet still reeling from the loss of Andarna. They're trying to move on. The only normalcy that she sees right now is that she's back with the squad every single day, and in Zayden's bed at night. So she's really clinging to just the normalcy of that, but things aren't normal. I mean,
Yeah, I know Zayden's really flip-flopping right now. He kind of goes back and forth from like giving up and not really having a lot of hope to recognizing that even if he feels that there's no hope for him, he still wants to prepare everything and everyone else for a world in which he doesn't exist to them in the same way.
everyone is like coddling Violet also for still being so close to losing Andarna. But Felix, he's like, no, we ain't got time for this. You gotta, we're still practicing. Like the war is still happening. They're still coming. We gotta pick up on this.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Felix is right because things go from bad to worse real quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because they get a letter or a message is delivered from Theophany. She has Mira captive.
Yeah, and she wants
The brother.
Violet and the brother.
The brother. And everyone, immediate assumption is that it's Bodhi. But they are not really brothers. So then they're like, well, it can't be Bodhi. So then they start thinking it's probably Jack.
I would think it might be Jack.
Yeah. So Theophany has Mira and Drathus, and she wants Violet and the brother, who they're not sure exactly who that is. But they start developing a plan. And the problem is that there are too many objectives. Violet
Yeah.
needs to save Mira, but they also need to get all of the people out of Drathus before the Venin take it over. Because that would be an extreme loss of lives. But the only way for people to make it out of Drathus is for them to climb the Cliffs of Draelor, which is a very difficult climb.
Mhm.
Is that the same cliffs that
They
They
climbed
had
That they
in
went
Iron Flame.
through.
come
Yeah.
in? Okay.
So Brennan says we have to prioritize an objective, maybe two. And everyone's arguing over what should happen. Should they protect the citizens? Should they protect the city? Should they save Mira? And everyone's trying to figure it out. So they come up with a plan, and basically they have to split up. Violet cannot focus on more than one thing. She has to pick one, and it needs to be to kill Theophany. That needs to be
Her only objective.
objective number one and
For her.
only.
There's a quote here that says, "That's why we fail, because you, Violet, will choose everyone over yourself, and he, Zayden, will choose you over everyone." And I just the whole part thinking about like they have to stick to their plan. I'm just thinking back to this quote. of they're gonna choose each other over the plan set forward, and that was just sticking in my brain throughout the rest of this
The
book.
rest of the
Yeah.
book. Yeah, but trying to go into it having faith that they'll stick to this plan.
Yeah.
This new plan. Let's try something new this
Stick
time.
to the point.
Since something always backfires for our team.
And one thing I loved is that, you know, it's been a big joke that Dane is a wing leader because he has had big shoes to fill. But as they're doing the plan, Bodhi says, you know, put us where you need us, of course, with the permission of our wing leader. And Dane says, given. And I just like that moment of respect for Dane.
Yeah.
That they were like, you know, of course.
I love him.
But
he's gotten much better, I will say.
And then they decide they do their plan. We don't get to know it. We have to find out as things happen. So they fly out to the cliffs of Draylor. They arrive. And they find out that the fucking first years are there. Auric and Sloane.
Yeah.
Was anyone else confused as to why Auric was flying away?
Yes, I said Auric I feel like he's in his own little world with his own little side quests.
Yes, and he is.
We
find out later. He definitely is.
Yes. I was confused when I was, wait, Auric, where are you going?
We have some like power dynamics playing out between Theophany and Violet.
Well, when we arrive, it's a bleak scene.
Oh, well, yeah.
Theophany has Mira with a knife at her throat, and Tiny, her dragon, is netted. So it's not looking good.
And not just netted, like they chained her down to other wyverns. I was terrified.
Yeah, don't like that at all.
And
Jack shows up. Garrick is just was this distance wielding all over the continent. He brings Jack in the little box. He's just floating there. And more threats against Mira. I don't even want to talk about the end of this chapter.
One thing I would like to bring up is that Theophany says something interesting here that I just noticed. When she's talking about Jack, because when they first show up, they don't have Jack. Garrick brings him in the box from Takaris, with his like walking power or whatever.
Yeah.
But she mentions, yet you didn't bring the brother he wanted. Berwin will be disappointed. And Violet says he's on the way. Berwin. Xaden tenses and his focus swings south toward the city again. That's where he needs to be, in position to save as many people as possible, but he's made it clear he doesn't want to leave me. Yes, hence the term brother. Theophany glances my way. I won't make the mistakes with you Berwin made with Jack. He spills his sage's secrets too easily. So that tells me Jack knows something.
Yeah.
Jack must know a lot.
Which is why Theophany tried to throw the dagger at him, tried to kill him.
And I believe we still have Jack.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling, unfortunately, we have not seen the last of him.
No, we have not.
I don't think so either, unfortunately. Gonna have to keep feeding him little pieces of alloy and keeping him alive week by week.
And at the end of chapter 58, I about had a heart attack.
The gasp that I gasped and dropped my book.
Yeah. I said, no.
I thought Mira was gonna die. I really did. But Brennan saves the day, goes running, and is trying to save Mira.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have enough. He doesn't have enough power.
I really thought he was. I thought we were gonna get like a Brennan turn there. Like I thought he was gonna have to channel at some point, or he was gonna burn out and do the thing like Naolin did for him, and like give his life burning out trying to save Mira. Like I thought something bad was gonna happen to Brennan trying to save Mira, but instead we get wholesome greatness.
Yeah, have no fear. Sloane is here.
Sloane is here with Dane. Also, Dane just saw Garrick walk. Just saying.
Oh,
I know.
And he's not going to let that go. He wants more info on that.
For
Of
sure.
course he does, and I
100%.
believe that he deserves it. He deserves
Mm-hmm.
it. So they get there. Dane's there. He brings Sloane, and he has Sloane siphon from Dane to Brennan so he can save Mira. And
Which is so badass, by the way.
Yeah.
we get a little moment between Sloane and Dane. And
We sure do.
And Sloane says something peculiar. She says, "Someone like you shouldn't have this much power."
What
Yeah.
does that
What
mean?
does that mean?
I was shocked at that. I was like, oh, is he hiding something more than we thought? Is he developing
Yeah.
his signet more than we like? Does he not have to touch people's faces anymore? We haven't got much of his signet since the first book anymore.
Yeah, and how he's like growing that.
Mm-hmm.
But also like something else happens. So much happens in this exchange between Sloane and Dane because Dane lets her know because she's weary to use her power because the last time she used it, she had to drain Mama Sorrengail's life to get the wards up. So she's been kind of hesitant this whole time. He says, "You're the artery power chooses to flow through, your life." And I just feel like that's such a parallel to Violet and Xaden's, where Xaden says, "You are the weapon," because Violet was scared of her lightning wielding. She's like, "I'm a weapon of destruction. Like, how is that ever going to help anyone?"
Well, so the two lines before, "You are the artery power chooses to flow through," Dane says, "You are not a weapon of destruction. You're not venom."
Yeah. So it's just like the parallel is crazy there.
And then Sloane says, "I'm going to hurt you." And Dane replies, "Gods, don't I know it?" Okay.
He so parallels them. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Speaking of balance, doesn't it seem
They're the
like they
opposite.
might be the balance
Yeah,
to
Yes.
Xaden and Violet?
it does. It's the
Exactly.
opposite.
I say one of them
Just saying.
has a relic.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is like the general's child.
Mhm.
We got a third year, first year situation.
We've got a whole situation where the dad is responsible for the brother's death.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The parallels are wild.
Fingers crossed. We get a Liam and Brennan parallel. And Liam's still alive. I don't think that's gonna happen, but
So that
we're wishful thinking at all times.
I have theories. They called Liam brother to Xaden a lot.
They did.
And I honestly don't remember. I'm just.
I don't know. I don't know. I think Rebecca shut that down,
I'm
but
too hopeful.
I'm really hopeful. I've never held on to something so hard in my life.
No, I just
Yeah.
want Liam back. Okay, I don't even care how. I mean, I do care how, but
But another thing of note is that they mentioned that Sloane didn't leave any marks.
Yes,
on
that's
Dane
what Violet
or
notices
Brennan.
after they, mend Mira to the point where they can like move her.
because she's not venom, just like what Dean said.
I'm saying
It's a signet. It's totally different than what the venom are.
that's what I'm saying. So I don't understand
I
why that
agree.
was important. Why she added that in there? It's obviously important. She highlighted it in a moment of like complete chaos.
Yeah.
She specifically
She's
mentioned
like,
that.
"Wait, look at that."
Yeah. So but it went right over my head. Don't ask me why it's important.
We'll deal with that next book.
Yeah.
The line from Xaden where he says, "Concentrate, only use Terran's power, do not turn, do not die." I was like, okay, buddy, how about you take your own advice?
I know.
And don't die and only use Ciel's power. Like, that was the only, listen to your own advice, sir.
Yeah.
Please, and thank you.
And then they leave Bodhi and Violet
Oh my goodness.
to meet with Theophany, because the
getting to the
plan
nitty-gritty.
is that Bodhi is going to counter the signet of Theophany.
Yeah.
The problem is, and I don't know why they didn't think this through, she gets her power from the earth, so he can't counter it.
Well, I guess he's never tried his signet on a Venom, didn't know it wasn't gonna work.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't think that through. That seemed important. So basically, fucking Violet's all by herself.
Yeah, and I was terrified for Bodhi's safety the entire time.
Yeah.
I was too. I thought we were gonna lose him, to be honest.
Well, because my guess at the beginning going into this was that it was either Bodhi or Mira, and so the fact that we barely survived Mira, and also like at the beginning when we did think that the brother was Bodhi, like when Theophany was calling them in, I was like, Bodhi and Mira,
Yeah.
all in one space. I was like, one of them's dying, but
Yeah.
So at this point in the book, I know everyone feels differently about this book. I feel like Rebecca Yaros was trying to confuse the fuck out of us because we got different point of views, different parts of this fight. There
Yeah.
is so much information missing. Like we know between the fight between Violet and Theophany, we learned that Theophany actually doesn't just control lightning, she controls the weather, which thinking about it now, I feel really dumb for not putting that together sooner.
The
Because of the
tornado.
tornado.
I did have it in my notes further up. I did guess it when they were like traveling through the storms, like that's how they were getting in without being seen. I wrote, are they controlling just the storms, not just the lightning? I did write
Yeah.
that up there, but
how Lilith and
was the
Theophany are the
balance.
balance.
So yes, so Theophany is actually not the balance for Violet, she's the balance for Lilith. Soaring go.
And how Theophany was wanting the lightning wielder on her side. It wouldn't just tip the balance to have shadows and lightning both on the Venom side. It would totally destroy it.
Yeah.
I think was a line that was said.
So we lose track of Xaden this
Mhm.
whole time. I mean, we have no idea what's going on.
He
We lose
just-
track of Violet half the fucking time because we get a Rhiannon point of view, which I appreciate because we get to see that the squad's doing well, they're fighting,
and their objective.
and they're getting their objective, which is to protect the people that are going up the pass.
Yeah.
And we see that Riddick is getting to use his power to his full advantage. He's like freezing Wyvern out of the air, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and it was really nice to just quickly see like how orderly Rhee's mind is even in
Yes.
battle, and like the communication between her and her dragon was like, so we'll do this. Like there was no
Yeah.
panic.
I thought it
She
was
almost seems perfect.
I thought it was really cool to get to see like how I wouldn't say normal because Violet's I don't know, a typical rider who doesn't use a saddle or like straps to keep like how they stayed in the seat. That was a cool insight.
Do that.
Mhm.
But I just pointed out that Rhiannon is perfect because
Yeah.
Rebecca Yaros mentioned that she that someone we love will not make it out of the fourth book, not to scare you. You have 2 years to prepare. But also that the reason she killed off Liam was because he was such a perfect character. So she said to
Yeah.
keep an eye out for perfect characters.
I would say at this point in the books, I would say Rhiannon is probably the one of the only few that I would describe as being perfect.
She's
Exactly, that's why
described
we're
as perfect
fearful.
in the book.
Yeah.
Like everyone says that she's the perfect leader, that she makes the perfect decisions.
Yeah, Violet says when push comes to shove, I'm not the best of us. She is.
Yep. Yeah.
Talking about Rhee.
So
We're terrified for her.
we're terrified. Then we get an Imogen chapter in which Rebecca rips our soul out once more. We also learn that Imogen has a second signet, and her second signet is to be able to turn things to stone, I believe.
Which is also a signet that we haven't seen in centuries. They're all just
Yeah.
popping up out of
They're all
nowhere.
popular.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I think it was said like these most powerful signets that we haven't seen in centuries tend to arise in like the continent's most troublesome times and like the times that
Yeah.
they're needed, and I would definitely say that this is a troublesome time.
We do cut back to Violet and Theophany because Theophany goes to channel
We
from the
skipped
ground.
that chapter before Imogen's POV.
And then Violet hops on a wyvern.
She was so
to give
smart
away.
for using
So
that.
smart, quick thinking. But in that time, we also get a glimpse that, well, is it Kier?
Mhm.
Back in the chapter before, swooped him up. And I was like, thank God
Yeah,
he's out of
Bodhi's
here.
out of there.
But then we see him fighting elsewhere.
And
Like he's back
struggling.
out there fighting. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck?
And Bodhi seems to be struggling. They mentioned that there's a hole in his dragon's right wing, and the laceration on his chest is going to leave a scar.
Mhm.
But at that angle, Imogen couldn't tell if Bodhi was wounded. So I feel like that's important to note.
Yes, and Dane, okay, when we got back to Imogen's, because that was immediately after that, Dane also saw Imogen's
Yeah.
second signet.
Dane's aware now, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's aware of both Imogen and Garrick's second signets.
And unfortunately, we lose Quinn.
Ooh, and it hurt.
It did hurt.
Her calling Imogen Jen, and them
Mhm.
and Imogen talking about like her mom and her sister
to
are
not
gonna
be
be there
scared.
for her.
They're gonna know me.
Yeah, they're gonna welcome you. They're gonna love you.
Yeah, and then her saying, we made it a good one."
Ouch.
That hurt. And then
Garrett
Garrett
coming
finding
in.
her.
But also Imogen and Quinn's friendship paralleling Vi and
Reed.
Oh my gosh, I just
Rhiannon.
got chills.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're so similar. Like they met on the first day. They're like, even if this is a short friendship, it's going to be a good one. Like that's essentially how Violet and Rhiannon were before they crossed the parapet.
That's exactly
They're
how
like,
they
you
met.
and me, girl.
Yeah.
We're losing Ree, man.
Oh.
This sucks.
We skipped Vi's chapter before Imogen's, and I would just like to say
Well, that's the one we talked about with her jumping on the wyvern and Bodhi.
the control she had for all the wyverns she killed, 10 bolts at once. I counted all those numbers Taryn was counting out for her. 34.
That's
34
crazy.
down is what happened.
I know. I had mentioned like she took out so many and has come a long way since Resson.
Such a badass. I would like to point out that, again, Rebecca Yarrow said in an interview that we should pay attention to who is missing and who felt like they don't have enough power.
Yeah.
At the end.
Correct.
So I just want to point out that at the end of Imogen's chapter, we have eyes on Garrick and we have eyes on Bodhi. Bodhi is leaned over vomiting, and Garrick is saying that he is almost drained.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
just saying.
I mean, he's been running all over the damn continent at this point.
I mean, he has. Honestly, Garrick carried this team on his shoulders.
He
in this
did.
book.
With the daggers and the moving those.
He got
and extending
everything
the
they needed to
woods.
get.
Yeah.
So then we get here. Oh, and Violet finally looks at the dang package that Arik gave her.
Yes.
Did we mention that earlier?
No.
No. Art gives her, I called it a gift, but
Yeah.
it was a package, and he was. What did he say something with it? Like
Sloan
Like,
gave
"You'll
it to
need
her.
this or something. I'm just
Right?
so
Sloan
frustrated. Like,
delivered it.
why did she not look at it right away? Like, who does that? Who, like, did they just write Arik? Did they just write Arik off as like having issues?
This
Like,
dude.
they were just like, shut up about Dune's Temple and shut up about this package. Like, now is not the time.
Now is not the
Like,
time.
'cause-
But I literally am in this moment being like, this guy can see the future or something. Like I'm like, why aren't we listening to him? Because you learn that you needed to be there at Dune's Temple.
Right.
Like there was, I mean, we still haven't come full circle, but there was a reason we were down there.
And the reason is
We learned a lot about Theophany. But yeah, continue, sorry.
And then on it is a note that says, "For when you lose yours, strike in the dark, Violet." And it is a piece of stone that's a dagger, a ceremonial looking dagger with familiar flame-shaped etchings along the hilt. It's a note from the High Priestess of Dune's Temple in Aracia. "A gift from one servant of Dune to another. I must warn you, only those touched by the gods should wield their wrath. I will pray to her that she need not use it to avoid reacquainting herself with the other who curries her favor. Her path is still not set.
And she really found this package at the right time, because right before we get Scale screaming, like we hear that, she's freaking out, she's roaring, the bond is still there, the wall of ice is up and it's repellent, like things are really going to crap. And what is the ceremonial dagger for? Let's find out.
Oh, and by the way, Violet's thinking the same thing we are, because she says, how would Auric know I'd lose my dagger?
Yeah,
Exactly.
why is that important?
So then Violet, being the queen that she is, she figures it out, and she realizes that this dagger will kill Theophany because she can't enter the
June's
June's
temple.
temple anymore
Mhm.
because she's a heretic. So
She's a
she
deserted priestess of Dune.
so they kill her.
Yeah, straight through the heart. She was like, "How did you know? How did?" Theophany was very confused.
And then
But this is in the. When did the darkness happen? Is it before or after she kills her? Because strike in the darkness.
wait.
Mhm.
Yes, before all of this happens, she realizes, she puts two and together. She says he's a fucking precog.
Yep.
She realizes Auric is a precog and that he
He's
has
been
seen all of this
manifesting
happen.
the entire time.
And I would just like to say that I am having a panic attack over something that he said earlier in the book,
Yes.
where he mentions the fact that he will
Halden's gonna be the king.
Halden's going to be the king. He will fight for what is right, and he will
likely
die doing it.
I don't remember any of this.
You don't remember that?
No.
Yeah.
My brain went straight back.
And I said, oh my God, he's seen, like, he knows.
He's seen so much.
He's gonna die.
I do not remember that.
That's why, oh my gosh.
That Auric's gonna die, or Halden?
Auric.
Oh,
He said Halden because
Halden will be king. I will
Yeah.
fight, and I will likely die.
yeah, someone was saying like, I think he'd make a better king, bud.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not how it's meant to be. Halden will be king, and I
Oh.
will do this.
my brain must have skipped over that.
And at the time, I just was like, okay, yeah. You
Yeah,
know?
sure, whatever.
Yeah. Like, whatever.
There's so
And then,
much
oh
that
yes,
happens in this chapter.
they're fighting with Theophany, and Theophany whispers Irid, and then Andarna's back.
Andarna!
And we get like no answers to any questions. We don't even
no
get an
time.
interaction between Andarna and Violet, really. The
Nope.
only thing is we get Violet, Andarna whispers, and then she hears nothing, and that's when she is plunged into darkness.
Oh. Breaks.
Wait, confused because I thought that was after she killed Theophany.
It is.
Okay, cool. But there was the plunging into darkness Violet passing out?
Pitch black night, the note
Or
from the
what?
dagger.
Because I think
No.
she had to strike in the dark
She was.
to kill.
It was pitch black already before she
Yeah.
before she stopped her. She already had the whole thing of where the fear was coming down the bond. He's terrifyingly powerful with Sigil, but not like this. This is the kind of force that ends worlds, and it's almost here. The darkness was already coming.
Exactly. The darkness happened.
Oh.
I'm over here thinking, did Zayden go full venom? And then that's when we find out that Aric's precog.
And Taryn says, use the darkness, and that's when she strikes in the darkness,
Yes.
using her lightning. She gets her, and she desiccates.
We see Andarna, and then Violet blacks
And
out.
Violet blacks out. And we hear nothing from Violet again. And then we get Zayden's point of
Stuff.
view. Great. Awesome.
This whole chapter.
And this whole chapter, I felt many emotions.
Confused.
Number one, confused,
Yeah.
lost, angry, sad,
I was
heartbroken,
so sick to my stomach.
nauseous.
Yes.
Many emotions.
Scared to go on.
There's
I think I had to take a
a
break.
mention of a brother, but because I can't kill him, I could no more raise a blade to his throat than I could Violet. The bond between violence and me is the kind of magic that has no explanation. The bond between Berwyn and me is the kind that should never exist. And now that my sage has another sibling he can use against me, I'm screwed.
Also, Pancheck
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little
and his
rat.
involvement, I can't even begin to make sense of it. Like, I think that's something where I would have to go back and reread all
Iron
over
Flame, Fourth Wing, all
Fourth
of it.
Wing, yeah, all of it.
Sigale, this whole time, heartbreaking. They're threatening her. How did they kill the other dragons with a dagger? How did that happen? What kind of daggers were they using? This whole chapter.
I don't know. But Xaden
Ugh.
turns for Sigale.
My soul departs like pieces of ash from a fire, flanking free and drifting away as power consumes the space it once inhabited. I'm no longer on the ice. I am the ice.
I love you. Violet's voice cracks the cold, and a silken thread of warmth wedges itself in the opening before it seals shut, locking it in place. No. Wait.
No, wait.
My heart. My heart.
And then he can't kill Berwyn for some reason.
He says, I'm no longer an initiate. What even am I? Hers.
And then it's like quickly Sigale and Xaden come up with this plan.
Yeah, they're having this whole convo, and I'm like, what is going on?
I had no idea.
Mm-mm.
I said I'm gonna have to read that
Yeah.
over again because I could not comprehend.
You tell me. I lowered the ice and let her in. Her next breath is laced with sulfur and her eyes widen. You cannot mean to. You saw what happened. It's the only way. She glances over her shoulder and you think she'll help. Obviously, she is Violet because Xaden responds, she loves me.
This is about turning. I totally think this is about the Priestess of Dune and the favor
Yeah.
she still owed Xaden, and then how in the next chapter about the whole,
Yeah.
Well,
that thing.
We'll have to
here's the
get back
thing. I
to
think
that.
we're talking about two different she's here. The
Mhm.
first she he's talking about, I think, is Violet. And you think she'll help. She loves me. That's Violet.
Yeah.
Taryn does not, and you haven't looked in a mirror yet. The red veins branching from your eyes look like her lightning. Her. That's Violet.
That's tough.
She'll help. That, she'll help. She promised.
Yeah.
That's Violet. Even if she agrees, no one will. Someone owes me a favor.
Yeah.
That's the Priestess of Dune.
priestess.
Yeah.
He'll never let you near her. That's gotta be Taryn. Especially while she lies in a vulnerable state.
Or Brennan.
No, it's gotta be
Taryn.
Taryn.
Okay.
It's gotta be Taryn. And then especially when she lies in a vulnerable state.
And we're about to find out why.
Aiden says, is she hurt? Yes, Sigale says slowly, her head moving in a serpentine motion. But she will survive. They have completed the wards, but they extend no farther than Drathis. That's good, bad, fuck, I don't know. What even am I?
Yeah.
Hers.
Oh my
Persuade Taryn, I beg. Everything depends on it. We will ask, Sigale finally says, flexing her claws in the rocky soil. And her decision will determine our fate. I think that and her decision will determine our fate is Andarna.
Yep, I think so too.
Oh.
I think here's my thing. Here's the thing that I think has happened, and this is from watching many TikToks. This did not come from my brain. The people of TikTok are much smarter than I.
Well, should we explain the last chapter first? Are you about to get into a theory?
Well, this theory is, yeah, we can explain the last.
Okay,
chapter first.
let's go through that because then
So,
we can talk openly.
Very quickly, Violet wakes up. She's groggy. She doesn't
She's
know what
confused.
happened. She's
You're all confused.
Yeah.
Everyone's confused. I'm as confused as Violet is. And basically, we find out that
It's been 12 hours.
in 12 hours that there are four missing riders.
6 missing dragon eggs.
There's someone says that they bet the other 3 are already dead. So we think 3 dead and 6 missing eggs from the hatching ground, but they're double checking.
Yeah, they say 4 riders, they're dragons, and 3 elders murdered. 4 riders missing.
5
6
riders
missing dragons.
4 now. Oh yeah, because Violet was the 5th.
4. 6 missing dragon eggs.
6 missing dragon eggs, and we know Xaden and Garrick are of those that are missing because Imogen comes up and asks about Lieutenant Tavis. Missing is what Brennan says. Still missing. So Xaden and Garrick are 2 of the riders that are missing.
Also, Taryn's recovering.
Taryn is sleeping.
Yeah.
Because he's having to recover, is what Andarna says. And then we find out that Xaden and Violet are married.
We missed a wedding.
It's an official blessing of your legal binding marriage by the head priestess of Dune's Temple to Xaden. And then Brennan hands her a note from Xaden that says, "Don't look for me. It's yours now." He's gone.
The ring on her finger that has the gem from the family sword, the missing gem from the family sword. What is all hers? Is his soul? Tyrandor?
People say it's his
All of it?
soul because
Family,
he says that people say that it's his soul because he refers to Tyrandor as she through the whole book, but that's not true. He also refers to Tyrandor as it. I think it's Tyrandor. And then
literally all of it.
Imogen, we find out Imogen is the one who erased Violet's memory, and she looks at her and says, "What did you do?" And Imogen says, "What you asked me to."
You asked me to. And also to keep in mind the stone that we're talking about, Violet, when they first get back to Erasia, I believe, she's, she had the thing with Bodhi of like, I don't know where I'm supposed to live. And she goes back into their bedroom, and I think that's when she sees it with that missing, that gem missing.
Here's the thing. Brennan, sketchy.
Yeah.
I think he knows everything. He doesn't act shocked. He doesn't act how I imagine an older sibling would act or would react if they found out that their sibling who was missing for 12 hours shows up married and now the Duchess of Tyrandor. He just, Violet is confused and is like, "To Xaden?" And Brennan just nods.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And he hands her the note and he's like, "Look."
Okay, here's my thoughts.
Look at this.
Here's the thing. Here's what I think happened.
I cannot believe that was the last sentence. I went to flip the page to continue, and I was like, "What do you mean that's the end?"
No, I'm mad. I can't talk about it. I rated the book less because of the ending. I rated it 4.75 instead of a 5-star. But here's what I think happened. And y'all, and this is an accumulation of all of the theories I've seen on TikTok. I think that in order to, I think Bodhi's the brother.
Okay.
And here's why. I think Bodhi doesn't have a second signet, and he feels like he needs one. We also just found out that Bodhi's signet doesn't help against Venom. So he's kind of useless.
Yeah.
So who needs more power? Bodhi. He's also unaccounted for. And the last time we saw him, he was vomiting. People say that might be him channeling. I don't know if it's him channeling or if it was just him showing weakness. Either way, I think it's Bodhi. I think it's most likely that it's Bodhi.
And the last time we saw him, he was with Garrick, who was also missing.
Yes, who was also missing. So, and that is why I think that Xaden was immediately like, we need Violet's help, because otherwise Xaden could leave and leave Bodhi with Tyrandor. But if Bodhi's Venom, he can't leave Bodhi to be in charge of Tyrandor. He needed Violet. Otherwise, it would have gone back to Navarre.
But also, at the same time, we know that he's been planning this because the emerald was missing or whatever, and he's been planning this for a while. I don't think that he was anticipating that Bodhi would turn. So was that just a backup plan the whole time? Was that he was going to marry Violet and she would be the backup in case anything happened to Bodhi?
I don't think the marriage is a backup. I think this man has been wanting to marry her.
I'm aware of that, but this is a plan.
No,
there was a reason behind this.
I don't know. I know he's been working with Auric. There has been multiple talks throughout the book. Kiara has mentioned it. There has been multiple times where it's like obvious that Zayden and Arik have been working together this
Yes.
entire time.
Hope the very first time in Deverelli, when Halden is being kept by King Cortland, he's talking with him, and he's talking with King Cortland, Zayden is, and he's saying, like, technically, I don't really give a rat's ass about this guy, but I have, some complicated ties to some individuals
That
who
do care about him.
exactly who are going to
Yeah.
need him back.
Yes.
There is also the little comment that we just like happened to bring up about Zayden talking about how Violet could be a really good duchess.
Mhm.
That was back in like page 50 or something like that, and he's joking with Arik. And so
It's been a
I
plan
think
for a
they've been
while.
working together for a long time.
Yeah, it would not surprise me.
And that he's probably, since the second he manifested his signet, he probably went to Zayden.
Which is why Arik knew. No. I have proof that Arik knew and that this was not, the wedding was not a backup plan, because Arik said that they needed to save Dune's temple so that the priestess
yeah.
would give him the favor so that she would marry them. So this has all been planned.
Yeah.
This has all been
I know
planned.
my thing kind of comes, I know it's been planned. That's what I'm saying, of like, why would they specifically have this planned if they knew that Bodhi was going to be safe and be able to do that? Like, did they know that Bodhi was going to turn? That's my thing.
I think that maybe because before they went into battle, remember how Zayden was saying that he respected Bodhi's wishes, and if he wanted to be he could still be a rider or whatever. I think that
he was maybe giving him an out.
Yeah.
But Violet's also a writer.
Yeah, but she's been a leader throughout this entire book and has proven that she can lead. True. So basically what I think happened is they had this plan. Sigale's like, that's fine. You marry Violet so she can take Tyrandor. When she says we will ask and her decision will determine our fate, I think she was saying our fate as in between her and Zayden, because in order for her to go with Zayden and be away from Taryn, who is her mate, they had to break the bond.
Yeah.
So Andarna broke the mating bond between Sigale and Taryn, which is why Taryn is having to rest.
Oh.
Because the bond has been broken so that they can be separate.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree.
That is heartbreaking to think that could be a possibility.
And that's why it was so important for them to just confirm that you can keep the bond with your dragon.
Yes.
So
I think that, and me and Kiara agree, because we've discussed, and we've all discussed, that the missing riders are Zayden, Garrick, Bodhi, and Arik.
That is my guess.
And that they took the dragon eggs, and they are going to bring them to, is it Umbriel? Umbriel. To trade for the army, because now they are desperate.
But there's only 6 missing. I mean, that could just be like the first 6.
But they only know of the 6 at their...
But they want 2 of each.
They wanted 12.
I know, but I'm saying, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
they're going to go recount.
Arik could have gotten the 6 from theirs while everyone was fighting. Because they have 2 hatching grounds
from Eratia and as
that's what I was wondering. If like,
so Arik could have gotten the ones from Eratia while everyone's going to fight at Drathis. Garrick could have walked and gotten the ones at Basgiath. Gotten 6 and 6, maybe.
That's true.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Like, that 6 batch is the first batch,
or like, we'll give you these 6.
Deposit.
You follow through.
Here's a deposit.
We'll give you 6 more or something like that. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. And then so we have the 2 like parallel between like she loves me, she promised at the end, versus back on page 58. Swear you'll sound the alarm if I go too far, that you'll keep it safe even if it's from me. Promise me, Violet, please.
And then
I promise. And then for the Zayden and Arik working together, there is another one where they're in Umbriel and he's about to fight and he's saying, we need you to live. Your kingdom needs you to live. Also talking to Felix. Felix, keep the first year safe and your eye on that one, and point specifically to Arik.
Yes.
Crazy.
That. And then Imogen, the whole thing with Imogen erasing. So Imogen has to know what happened. So are we going to be able to get it out of Imogen? Also, can Dane get memories back? Like if they don't remember it, can he
Maybe
bring it
It
back
kind of
to
sounds like
surface?
that would be like the very first thing that we get,
Yeah.
because Rebecca, luckily, she's given us like important pieces of information at the beginning of after the cliffhangers at the beginning of the next book.
Mhm.
So I feel like that would be a nice quick way for Dane to fill her in, you know?
maybe.
I mean,
I
That
feel
would
like
be
that's a little too
nice.
hopeful, but Dane
For
is
sure.
no one like him should have that much power.
But essentially kind of wondering if like the memory wipe was to protect Violet, because the first thing that they're going to do
Is try to get her
is try
memories
to
and find out where
Mhm,
he is. So maybe
exactly. Try to
oh,
question her, and she has plausible deniability.
but I think Brennan knows. Imogen obviously knows. Unless Imogen wasn't there and they just told her to erase Violet's memories. So it's possible Imogen doesn't know.
definitely a possibility. Because what point would it be to wipe Violet's memories for protection if they could just go searching through somebody else's?
Also,
Mhm.
Imogen says, I did what you asked me to do.
Mhm.
So Violet could have just showed back up and been like,
Mhm.
I need you to wipe my memories now.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
So
I cannot.
I just
2
need to
years until the next one comes
Mhm.
out.
I know.
I just need to throw in, because I think it's either Bodhi or one other person for the brother. And I'm down with either of the theories. Like, I believe either of them, honestly, at this point. But just kind of throwing it out there that I do think that Arik has a potential of being the other brother as well. We'll kind of have to see. Like we said, I think that he's part of the 4 missing. Whether he's the one who's, still doing all the little side quests, like he could be in that role while Bodhi is the brother, or Arik could be the new brother.
Yeah.
That's my guess, but
And then the 3 dead I'm panicking about.
Oh.
And I don't think I'm going to come up with any theories about that because I don't want to know.
Hopefully it's just random writers that we don't know.
The problem is they said that the writers were in the like where the squad was. Didn't they?
4 writers, exact. I'm thinking at least one first year. I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe like leadership of sorts. 3 elders murdered.
I don't need to take
I just don't know.
It's fine.
Yeah, we'll just wait 2 years to find out.
I don't need to know.
But wow, don't look for me. It's yours now.
Yep.
What a
And in that quote where he does say, like, when he's asking Violet, like, if I go too far, make sure you'll keep it safe. So he does refer to Tyrandor as it in that time, not just she. So if he is saying it's yours now, I think that that's Tyrandor.
One thing's for sure, I am very excited in the next book to possibly be getting any, like, where's my wife?
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. Where's my husband? I would rather her do it.
You're not where I left you, husband, or some sort of energy like that.
Just the wife husband dynamic.
Yes, I'm excited
Yeah.
for that.
I think we'll get immediate, like, a little bit more knowledge about the Irids based on what we find out about if Andarna did break.
And the fact that
Taryn
Andarna's
and
back.
Scales.
And that she's back and what she learned during that
And can
couple
we
weeks she was
still
gone.
dreamwalk?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we have to learn more about that. There's going to be a lot more to that, for sure.
Well, I'll need to do a reread or two before.
Probably.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
100%. But kind of thinking back on it, of like all of our bingo guesses for the predictions for Onyx Storm, we didn't do too terribly bad.
I got a bingo.
Yeah.
I think I got 2. Kiara, you got what, 3 or 4?
I got a couple. I think I got 5 because I got the 2 crosses.
Yeah, I think you got
2
4
down, and then the 1 across.
I will say that my bingo card, I went a lot more specific, and I guess next time I'll go more generalized because I got less bingos than y'all.
Yeah,
I went more specific.
There were some that we did specific too, but yeah, there were a few a little bit more general.
We will be posting those bingo cards.
Or they should be out already.
They will already
so
be
you guys
out.
can look at them. But we do want to just thank you guys for joining us as we finished our breakdown of Onyx Storm. We hope you laughed and cried along with us throughout the journey.
It was definitely a journey, and we hope you follow us on all of our socials at Totally Booked Readers so you can stay up to date on our most recent episodes and releases.
And we hope you take some time out of your Totally Booked schedules to join us next Tuesday for a hope-themed episode in honor of her birthday. Alrighty. See y'all later. Bye.
Bye, y'all.